Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hockey Talk. Today, we're talking playoffs. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Today is the third series that we'll be talking about on my channel. If you haven't already, you can go check out the previous two series I did, which was the Wild and the Blues, and the Oilers and the Kings. My Oilers and Kings video was about 25 minutes long. It's pretty long, I know, so I apologize for that if that was too long. This one will be much shorter, I can promise you that. But we have a good series here. We got the Preds and the Avs squaring off. This should be an interesting series. There's a couple of questions up in the air that we'll talk about in this video. But the Avs, they look unstoppable again this season, so we'll see if that can continue into the playoffs. But this should be a good series, at least in terms of seeing some star power, really on both sides, but especially on the Avalanche side. They're getting healthy, which is pretty scary for the rest of the league. So let's just get right into it and take a look at the numbers and kind of see what we can learn about these two teams, shall we? So look at the numbers here. We're looking at by the numbers. And you can kind of tell that the Avalanche are definitely the better team. Goals for per game, 3.080. Goals against per game, basically a goal less per game, which is incredible. A very good power play, although Nashville does seem to have the advantage in that regard. Penalty kill, about even. Nashville actually did have the better head-to-head record, but as we've seen in the past, that's not necessarily the most important thing. You know, just an example off the top of my head, the Maple Leafs, I think, won 7 of the 10 games between the Canadiens last year, and we all know how that series went. So head-to-head, you don't want to read into that too much, which isn't to say it doesn't matter, of course. Some other things to note, though. The Preds are 9-8-3 since the trade deadline with a goal differential of -15. So they're kind of a little cold right now at the worst time. And there's obviously some questions surrounding the health of their goaltender, Juuse Saros, which we'll talk about in a second. But special teams might have to come up clutch for the Predators, because right now they're kind of staying above water the best they can, but they're really struggling. So hopefully for them, we can see them kind of find a way to find their game again, because a -15 goal differential in their last 20 games is not great. So they got to find a way to get back on track here. And they have the means to do it, but there's a lot of questions, and trying to do it against the best team in the West, the Colorado Avalanche, is going to be tough. The Avalanche are, on paper and statistically speaking, a much better team. Of course, luckily for the Preds, the game is played on the ice, so we'll see how that goes. So now we're going to look at the goalie matchup here, which, again, could be really interesting, but Juuse Saros, who is the Predators' goaltender, is injured right now. And so really, I think not just the goaltending matchup, but a whole lot of stakes in this series depend on the health of Saros. As you can see, he played a lot of games this year, 38, 25, and 3. Pretty decent numbers, goals against average 2.64. The 7.69 goals saved above expected and 4 shutouts, really good. But if he's hurt, everything changes, right? Riddick is the backup goaltender, David Riddick, for the Predators. He was 6-3-4 this season with an .886 save percentage and a goals against average of 3.57, which is, quite frankly, not great. And so I think with Saros in net, you know, he has the ability to steal a game or two for the Predators, which, you know, when you're the underdog like the Predators are, is pretty important. I don't think Riddick can do that, and it's a huge factor, especially when you consider that the goaltending for the Avalanche is going to be very good. Darcy Kemper, as you can see, his numbers are pretty good, but here's the more staggering thing, right? So he's 37, 12, and 4 with a 2.54 goals against average, a 9.21 save percentage, and a 16.23 goals above expected and 5 shutouts. But really, his season has been defined by 2021 and 2022. In 2021, he was 13-5 with a 9.07 save percentage and -2.69 goals saved above expected, which is not good. It's really below average. But in 2022, so those are his 2021 numbers. His 2022 numbers, 24-7-4, a 928 save percentage, 18.92 goals saved above expected, and all 5 of his shutouts have come in the new year. So a completely different goaltender, really one of the best goalies in the league since the new year. And the last thing the Avalanche opponents needed was another weapon in the crease for them. So that's really going to be it. Is if Saros is healthy, this could be a very interesting goalie matchup. If Rittich has to be the one to go, oof, there's a huge advantage for Colorado because Darcy Kemper is playing fantastic, and David Rittich has not been good really all year. So that is going to be detrimental for the Preds. And lastly here, we're looking at the leading scorers for either team. You know, for Nashville, they had scorers that had career years or set franchise records. I mean, Roman Josi was fantastic. Matt Duchene led the team with 43 goals, which I believe was a franchise record by quite a large margin. And he wasn't even the first one to break it this season. Philip Forsberg, I think he had 42 goals. He was fantastic. Obviously, like we talked about Roman Josi, those 3 guys, Josi, Duchene, and Forsberg, are going to have to be huge if the Predators want to stay in this series, because those guys have been driving the bus for them all year long, as well as Saros and Net, which we've talked about. If those 4 guys can have really good playoffs, they have a chance in this series. But if those guys get shut down, or one of them gets hurt, knock on wood, that doesn't happen, this could be a bloodbath in the worst possible way for the Predators. And the scary part is when we look at the Avalanche, they haven't even really been fully healthy. They're kind of finally getting back to that. Rantanen has missed a little bit of time, led the team in scoring. I think McKinnon only played in about 60 games this year. Landeskog only played in about 50. So they're starting to get really healthy. They're finding their footing, especially in net. Everything is kind of coming up, burgundy and blue for them right now. So this could be a really interesting series, but it also could just be a tough matchup for the Predators, because the Avalanche just seem to have the leg up on them in every facet. And so the odds are certainly stacked against the Predators, and that doesn't mean they can't win. We've seen the Tampa Bay Lightning get swept by the Blue Jackets, so anything can happen. But with Colorado, really the question marks come around the second round. As we know, they haven't made it past the second round yet, much like the Leafs and the Panthers in the first round. That's where people are really interested into seeing if things change. I don't think many people have the Predators winning this series. And with that, let's talk about what I think is going to happen in my prediction. So with all these things in mind, the Avalanche, they've got all the star power. Even though the Predators had great years, the Avalanche certainly stack up well against them still. In net, they seem to have a significant advantage. Even with Saros, the way Kemper has played this season, specifically in the new year, you still might give the edge to Kemper. And if Saros is out, I don't really like what Rittich can bring to the table for them. He's not been great this year. There's no sugarcoating it. I think with Saros in net, the Predators have a chance to steal a game or two. And, Saros is good enough to where I think he can be the storyline of an entire series and maybe win a series for them. But if he's not fully healthy or he's not even playing, I don't even know if the Preds can win a game. I mean, the Avalanche are just so well-rounded, so good. So I'll say this. Avalanche win in 5 or 6 with Saros in net. Without him, I think Avalanche win in 4. So that's where I'm gonna leave it with that. Let's hope that we get a good series. Let's hope the Preds can fight and stay in it. Let's hope we see some real star power from Josi and Forsberg and Duchene, who had fantastic years for them. But I'm not gonna call myself a believer in this team just because of the question mark in net and just because of how good their opponent is. It's really nothing against the Predators, although their last 20 games leave a lot to be desired. So with that in mind, I'm going to say Avalanche in 4, assuming Rittich is the goaltender. And let's say Avalanche in 5 if Saros, who we want to see in net because he's a really good goaltender, Avalanche in 5 if that's the case, or 6 because Saros can steal a game or two. So, with that in mind, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share it and tell your friends. I'd really appreciate it. And let me know what you think. Am I underrating the Predators a little bit, or are the Avalanche just that good? Let me know anything you have to say. What are you most looking forward to in this series? And make sure to stick around for some of the other predictions I have coming later today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.